Hey guys, Hayden is Epic here, and welcome back to another epic Pokemon video. I hope everyone is having an absolutely amazing day. Have you guys ever noticed that Clefable and Gengar look weirdly similar? At first, it sounds like a stretch. One is a soft, fairy-like Pokemon that dances under moonlight. The other is a shadowy ghost that lurks in the dark, waiting to scare you. They feel like complete opposites. But what if that's exactly the point? What if Clefable and Gengar aren't just similar, but actually the same Pokemon split into two forms? Let's break this down. First, look at their designs. Not their colors, not their typing, just their shapes. Both Clefable and Gengar share a surprisingly similar body structure. They have rounded torsos, short arms, short legs, and exaggerated facial features. Even the proportions line up more than you'd expect. If you take Clefable's silhouette and slightly distort it, round the ears into spikes, widen the grin, and darken the body, you get something that looks extremely close to Gengar. This isn't just coincidence. Pokemon designs are rarely accidental, especially when two characters share this many visual traits. But it gets deeper. Think about their themes. Clefable is strongly tied to the moon. Its Pokédex entries describe it as a rare Pokemon that dances in the moonlight, almost like it's drawing power from something beyond our world. It's mysterious, but peaceful, quiet, and elusive. Gengar, on the other hand, is tied to shadows. It hides in darkness, mimics shapes, and is often described as lurking just out of sight. Some entries even say it can hide in a person's shadow or pretend to be one. Now here's where things start to click. What creates shadows? Light. And what is Clefable most associated with? Moonlight. So imagine this. Clefable stands under the moon, illuminated by its glow, and behind it, cast onto the ground, or stretched into darkness, is its shadow. That shadow begins to change. It detaches. It becomes something else. It becomes Gengar. Now that might sound like a stretch, but there's more evidence. Let's talk about Haunter. Gengar doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It evolves from Haunter, which itself evolves from Ghastly. But Haunter is the interesting piece here. Unlike Gengar, Haunter doesn't have a full body. It's floating, disconnected, almost incomplete. It has hands that aren't attached to anything, a face emerging from darkness, and a ghostly, unstable form. It almost looks like something that hasn't fully taken shape yet. Some fans believe Haunter represents a transitional state, a halfway point between something physical and something purely shadow-based. So what if the evolution line isn't just a ghost gets stronger, but instead tells a story? Ghastly, a formless cloud of energy. Haunter, a partial manifestation. Gengar, a fully formed shadow being. If Gengar is a complete shadow, then what is casting it? That brings us right back to Clefable. Now let's look at typing. Clefable is a fairy type. Fairy types are often connected to magic, light, and otherworldly energy. They're whimsical, but also deeply tied to natural forces we don't fully understand. Gengar is ghost poison. Ghost represents the supernatural, the afterlife, and lingering spirits. Poison adds a more sinister edge, decay, corruption, and something gone wrong. If you think about it symbolically, fairy and ghost types almost feel like two sides of the same coin. One represents wonder and light, and the other represents fear and darkness. And in a lot of myths and stories, light and shadows aren't enemies. They're reflections of each other. One cannot exist without the other. Now, consider the behavior. Clefable avoids humans. It's known to hide, only appearing in quiet, peaceful places. It doesn't want attention. It exists in harmony with its environment. Gengar is the opposite. It seeks out humans. It plays tricks, scares people, and feeds off reactions. Some Pokédex entries even suggest it enjoys causing fear. So you have one Pokemon that retreats from the world, and another that actively engages with it in a chaotic way. What if these are two expressions of the same being? One calm, one chaotic, one in control, and one unrestrained. Now here's a detail that makes this theory even more unsettling. Some Pokédex entries say that Gengar used to be human, or that it mimics humans because it envies them. But others describe it as a shadow that gained independence. That second line lines up perfectly with this theory, because if Gengar is a shadow that broke free, it had to have come from something. And Clefable is one of the few Pokemon that fits both visually and thematically. Even their eyes and expressions tell a story. Clefable has a gentle, almost blank expression, peaceful but distant. Gengar has a wide, exaggerated grin, almost like a warped version of that same face. It's like looking at a reflection that's been twisted. So here's my theory. Clefable, a Pokemon tied to the moon and light, naturally casts a shadow under certain conditions, maybe strong lunar energy, maybe something we don't fully understand. That shadow separates. At first, it's unstable. That's ghastly. Second, it begins to take form. That's Haunter. And third, it eventually becomes fully independent. That's Gengar. Not a different species, not a coincidence, but the shadow of Clefable that gains a life of its own. And once you see Gengar, not as a ghost, but as something that used to belong to Clefable, it becomes a lot harder to look at Clefable the same way again. This is why Clefable and Gengar are the same Pokemon. Hey guys, how you doing? It's Epic here. Thanks for watching. If you guys made it to the end of the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Have an epic day.